Okay, here is some code for a class called account.java, and keep in mind that the purpose of this class is to hide data, encapsulate data, and so we have declared a private constant here for our interest rate. We've declared some private variables here to store and hide data in the class. Here we have the constructor for the class, or one of the constructors for the class. This one just happens to have one constructor. It can have more. Classes can have more than one constructor. This one accepts a string for the account owner, long for an account number, and a double that's going to be used to assign an initial account balance. Notice that when you call that constructor, you pass three values in, and then those values immediately get assigned to the private variables declared at the top of the class here. We also have a deposit method. It allows us to make a deposit to the account as long as the amount is a positive value. So we check, we have an if statement here to check to be sure that it's a positive value, and then it updates the balance. We can do a withdrawal, and we do a little check here using a logical and we're going to apply a fee in some situations. We can add interest, we can get balance, and last of all, we override the toString method using the number format class to format the output for the account number, name, and actually format the balance. Okay, so now remember that account.java does not have a main method. Its sole purpose is to store data, hide data, encapsulate data, and allow us to process data. So we need a driver class. Here we have a driver class that has a main method. We named this class transactions, and in the main method we create an instance of the account class called ACCT1 new account. Here's where we're calling the constructor, and remember the constructor required the arguments for the owner of the account, the account number, and an initial balance. And so that's what we're passing in is those three values. And notice that we're actually creating three instances of the account. And then for demonstration purposes, we immediately use the account1 object dot deposit. So what we're doing here is we're calling the deposit method, and we're passing in $44.10. Here we are doing a deposit to account 2, and then we're assigning it to a variable that we declare right here to hold a double, because if you remember, that deposit method had a return on it, and it will return a balance. And so in this case we're returning the balance, and then we want to display it immediately. So again, we're just demonstrating the capabilities of the class here. And here we have a system out print line, and in the system out print line we call the withdraw method, and we tell the amount that we want to withdraw and the fee that's attached to that. And then last of all, we have a demonstration of calling the withdrawal method for the account 3. And in this case, we have an invalid transaction taking place because we're trying to withdraw a negative amount. And so we want to see what the results of that are. I'll go ahead and run this, and then let me move my run up so that you can see the results of the run. So it's processed the data then. The Adams balance after the deposit displays that amount, Adams balance after the withdrawal, and then it shows each of the results for the balances. In the account.java class that we just demonstrated, all of the methods were public, and what we want to do now is demonstrate use of a private method in a class. So what I've done is I've modified account.java, renamed it account2.java, use exactly the same code except that in the method addInterest I change that from public to private, and I'm assuming that once a month the bank is going to want to issue a bank statement. So I added a public method called printStatement. It makes use of the number format class to format the balance. And in this method, we call the addInterest. And if you recall, I'll go back up to addInterest here. What addInterest does is it updates the balance by applying the interest rate to the balance, and then it returns a balance. So as soon as I call addInterest, when it returns the balance, it's going to add the interest to it, apply the balance, and then my return statement does a nice formatted output for that. To demonstrate the use of this, I modified transactions, and I renamed it transactions 2. Used the same setup, except that where transactions called the addInterest, I can no longer do that. That would throw an error if I tried to do that, because addInterest is a private method now. And down at the bottom then I have a system out print line for printStatement, and we'll just go ahead and run this, and then I'll move my run up where you can see it. And here you can see the output. This was the output from the top, and then here is where I'm calling my print statements, and what it does is it prints the account number, the owner name, the current balance, and then I set it up so that it would display the interest earned, and displays that amount for each of the accounts that we had established. So we called a private method from a public method, calling the public method from our driver class, and accessing the data in that way. The Java source code used in this video is available as a free download at www.myiowatech.com. The MyIowaTech website provides additional videos on the subject of Java, PHP, network security, and other programming technologies.